His undergraduate degree was in education, philosophy and English literature, and his postgraduate degrees was in Sanskrit, journalism and mass communication. He underwent traditional training in the Vedas and Shastras at the Veda Vijnana Gurukulam in Bangalore under the guidance of Pracharya Kotamani Ramachandra Bhatt for 6 years. After a decade service in the research department in Yoga of Krishnamacharya Yoga Mantram, Dr. Jayaraman now serves as the Director of Textual Research at Indica Yoga. He has published 15 books and 17 peer-reviewed papers in the areas of Vedas, Yoga and Samskrita studies in Tamil, English and Samskrita. He recently received the Samskrita Granth Purashkara from the Karnataka Sanskrit University, Bengaluru for his Samskrita book Mantrartha Siddhanta. With these few words, I invite Dr. Jayaraman to deliver his speech.
योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मनं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रबलं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। Namaste to one and all. I at the outset thank the CPR Indological Center for inviting me for this wonderful conference or seminar on ancient Indian medical systems. Thanks to Mohan sir for inviting me and my pranams to all who have gathered here. I know we are far, we are not aligned to the schedule. This lunchtime is already there, but still அறிவு பசினா நமக்கு முக்கியம்னு சொல்லிட்டாங்க. ஸோ அதனால we will go with this session on the yogic system. And I was also told by Dr. Mohan that there should be a demonstration also. So then I thought organizing some demonstration, that would be fine, but still yoga is an active system. Unlike other systems of medication where we swallow a pill and then wait for the effect to take its time to manifest in our system. So it is an active system. Rather than watching someone perform yoga practice, we can all join together and do a small yoga practice here itself. But I see many eyebrows raised. If you ask me to do Shirshasana, no, don't worry, we will not be doing Shirshasana. So from wherever we are, a modified, gentle, simple 5 to 10 minutes practice, we will now experience yoga. That is, what is that? That is a saying, right? I forget the English proverb. The tasting the pudding is what more experiential than listening about the pudding or the sweet. So let us taste the yoga amritam first and let's see how it works. So now put away all the cell phones, bags, etc.
Is it right time for yoga?
Sir?
Is it right time for yoga practice?
It is not a very intense practice, it's a gentle practice. Of course it is right because this doesn't immediately follow after the tea. So in a sense it is fine. So if it had been immediately after the tea or the coffee, it would have been a problem. Now as this is a gentle practice, I feel it's not a problem, and not many would be terribly hungry. If many people are very hungry, just take it easy. But if slowly hunger is setting in, then it's not a problem. So, because as I highlighted, Ati Yoga means excess, when there is some excess urges like hunger, etc., it can be avoided. If it is just setting in, then no problem. Right. Now, just in your own places, just sit straight. close your eyes. Don't have anything in your hand, just be free. And then hands on the thighs. And then just close your eyes till I say, till I give the next instruction. Please try to do it. For about 30 to 35 seconds, we have now closed our eyes and we have been sitting. Kindly note what was the state of the mind at the beginning of the session now. Make a mental note of it, and we will see a post. At the end of the practice also, we will in the same way sit and observe how we are, how our mind is. Okay. Now kindly get up from your places and ensure that you don't, there is no one that touch the other, can spread out, there is enough space on the side also. So now feet apart, stabilize yourself in the standing position and don't keep your feet together so that you may lose balance. So just slightly to the shoulders, length, just feet apart. Very simple practice, and don't have any bag or anything like that, just keep it, put it away. Your movement should also be coordinated with the breath. Just first observe what I do. It's very simple. Just as you inhale, raise your arms from the front. It's very simple practice. And then as you exhale, slowly bring the hands down. Very simple. Only this much. So it's a modified form of Tadasana. Right? I'll tell you. Now you have to do it for 4 times. Arms by the side, shoulders relaxed. Inhale.
Eyes closed.
No, eyes open. Never ever in standing position. Eyes closed. Exhale. Inhale. Raise the arms from the front. Do it slowly. There is no urgency. Exhale. Slowly bring the arms down. Inhale. Raise the arms from the front. Exhale. Bring the arms down. One more time on your own. Coordinate the movement with the breath. Right. The next practice. Keep your hands on the hip. Now we are going to do a gentle twist. This is again a very modified version of Trikonasana. So there is a classical way of doing all these things. It's a very simple modified version. Now again kindly observe. As you exhale, twist towards your left side. And then inhale and come forward or face the front side. And then exhale, twist to the right side. Then inhale, come forward. So this is one round. In this way we will be doing 4 rounds, right? So now inhale in this position. Exhale, slowly twist towards your left side. Inhale and twist from face front. Exhale, twist towards your right. Inhale, face forward. Exhale, twist left. Inhale and twist. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, face forwards. 3rd time, exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, untwist. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, face forward. Last fourth time, do it on your own, coordinating to the breath. Now, exhale, twist. Leave your hands down. Now, a counter pose for this. We have now twisted. So, the counter pose will be a forward bend. So, now just again observe. Very simple. So, inhale, raise the arms from the, don't do it, just observe first, then you can do. Inhale, and while raising the arms also, don't try to stretch too much. Even if the elbow is bent, no problem. So, gentle movement only, because I am not sure that whether you have earlier practice of yoga and also be very gentle on yourself. Ahimsa in yoga is very important. So inhale, just listen. Inhale, raise the arms from the front, and then exhale, gently bend forward and place your palms on the knees. Only this much. Don't try to touch the ground. A gentle forward bend on exhalation. So, and then inhale, again exhale, bend forward. Only this much of movement, right? Now, inhale, raise the arms from the front. Exhale, gentle bend forward, touch your knees. Inhale, arms above. Exhale, bend forward. Do it very slowly. There might be sprains, etc. Inhale, come up. Exhale, bend forward, touch the knees. Inhale. Last time on your own, coordinate the breath and movement. Do it on your own. Do it slowly. Inhale, come up for the last time. Exhale, drop your arms. That's all. From the front. Drop the arms from the front. Now, please go to the seated position. Now, just back erect, eyes closed, chin down, shoulders relaxed. Just take rest for some 15 to 20 seconds. I will. You can mentally count from 20 to 1 in your mind. By this, you are allowing the breath to settle down before we go into the next activity. So, yes. Now the next activity, we will be doing a very simple breathing with a nyasa practice. So you can just observe. See, you are going to inhale and exhale. But in that activity, we are going to add one more element. What we are going to do is, as you inhale, just observe first, listen, and then you can do. As you inhale, see, roll your thumb up in the index finger. Exhale, bring the thumb down. Then the next, you go to the second finger. Inhale, exhale. Then the ring finger. Inhale, exhale, and then finally inhale, exhale. Do it very slowly. So this is a breathing with the practice of nyasa, right? So now place your thumb. Now try to sit erect. For all breath related practices, eyes to be closed. Just focus on my instruction. Now bring your thumb to the base of your index finger. Slowly inhale and roll your thumb up the index finger. You can place your hands on the lap like this. No need to keep your hand up. Exhale, roll the thumb down the index finger. Then Inhale, middle finger, roll the thumb. Exhale, bring the thumb down, slowly slide it down. Next, ring finger. Inhale, exhale, slowly. The small finger, inhale, exhale. You did it with my instruction. Now do it on your own. One round. The index, middle, ring finger and the small finger. Do it on your own. Inhale while you take the thumb, roll the thumb up, and then exhale when you bring it down. After finishing your round, the one round, just release your fingers and then keep your hands on the knees. Now observe yourself for 1 minute. Now gently open your eyes. So there ends our practice. A simple 7 to 10 minutes practice where we did a variation of Tadasana, Trikonasana, Padahastasana, and again a gentle kind of pranayama practice, introductory pranayama practice into the Nyasa. Okay. So every yogic element has been incorporated in this. Though it looks like a very simple practice, it derives its origin from the asana pranayama tradition only. Now, before I start my presentation, I would want to ask you to compare your pre-post observation on yourself. What did you feel? Just 3 people, 3 participants can share. Initially, when I asked you to, before starting any of this practice, you were sitting for 30 seconds. And then at the end, you were also sitting some 1 minute, you were maintaining the silence. So, any difference, any observation? Yes, sir.
I was very sleepy. Now I am very active.
Great. Yes.
During the process,
You feel fresh. Wonderful, sir.
during the process, I never got the proverb. The proof of the pudding is in eating.
See, the proof of the pudding is in eating. Yes. So when the mind settles down, slowly the memory comes. Yes. Mind is relaxed. From the last benches. Any discomfort? No discomfort. That's very important. If it does, even if it doesn't do anything positive, it should not lead to any discomfort. Okay? At least the status quo should be maintained. So the point is, what we are trying to do is that we did some activity, then relax. Did some activity, then relax. So this is the approach generally. of yoga, where we see that any kind of activity should be followed with some response. So this will, in yoga also, whatever activity we do, it is followed by some rest. So stimulation and then relaxation. So whenever there is a, even in our day-to-day life, whenever there is a stressful situation, immediately our sympathetic nervous system kicks in. So it is fight or flight. We will fight or kind of fight, fly, run away from the situation. But the yoga practice, the template that the yoga tries to bring in is, after an activity, when there is an active engagement, it should be followed by some relaxation. Which means that when a stressful transaction happens, rather than fighting it or kind of running away from it, can we settle down and then look at the problem in a settled manner. So that parasympathetic activity slowly is ingrained by the day-to-day daily practice. So in that way, the stress will not get converted into various psychosomatic problems. So stress, when it gets ingrained in us, it will lead to so many other problems at the level of the body also. So yoga, basically, one of the many benefits of yoga is to bring about this parasympathetic response to our day-to-day stressors in life. And then also you might have observed that we used the body completely. When we say holistic, we see that it is not that in other systems we just pop in a pill, whereas here we stood up, we sat down, we twisted, we bent forward, raised the arms, used the breath, and the mind was also involved in this. So the entire being is used, and the entire being is also kind of an attempt was made to align the entire being. That's why when I said, when you move along with your breath. So the body, breath is aligned, and then the mind will also come and settle down in that activity. See, when there is a lack of alignment of the body, breath and the mind, then we are at a loss. We are just like an army in a disarray. If the army is arranged in a vyuha, if the army is systematically arrayed, then we can fight the enemy better. If one soldier is running this side, the other soldier is running this side, the third one is going front, the fourth one is going back, problem. So when everyone is in alignment and everyone is proceeding in one particular direction, we can that army will win. Similarly, our body is in a different state, no control, and the breath is in a disarray, the mind is elsewhere, worried about so many things. By yoga, what we try to do, we make the body move, align the breath, and slowly bring the mind. So an attempt to make an alignment. We get to know about ourselves better when our three systems are aligned, these three components are aligned. So that alignment is very much important. That is what you experienced. A hint of that was given through this practice. I hope you are with me, means you can experientially relate with what we did. And also, what yoga brings about, whether or not some illness is cured, some illness is managed, etc., what yoga will certainly bring about, as a madam said, sir, I felt relaxed. That sense of subjective well-being will be brought about certainly by yoga practice. No doubt. After a session of yoga, whether it is brief or long or whatever it is, there will be, if it is a right kind of practice, it should evoke a sense of calmness and relaxation. So the right kind of practice. Even in terminally ill patients, by the practice of yoga, subjective well-being can be, the illness itself cannot be treated, cancer etc. itself cannot be addressed, but sleep, appetite, stress etc. can be managed. That person will feel that yes, I can eat well, I can sleep well. That sense of subjective well-being, that's a major contribution of yoga. So across various kinds of illnesses, what yoga can certainly bring about without any doubt, and hundreds of papers have been published on this, is bringing about this subjective well-being. And finally and most importantly, when we do yoga, we get introduced to ourselves. We go to make, like for example, we come to this conference or seminar, we get introduced to so many people, so many resource persons, so many scholars, so many colleagues, fellow researchers, etc. What yoga does is, it introduces yourself to you. We know, only this much I can stretch, or only this much I can bend forward. My breath is only this much. So a very good self-awareness is developed. And as Swami Vivekananda says, that only when you sit for the meditation, you will know how distracted you are. Until then, so only when you close your eyes and try to focus on an object of meditation, the mind will run into hundreds of other things. So only when these practices of asana, pranayama, kind of visualization, chanting, etc. will introduce who we are, how we are, etc. So all subjective well-being, self-awareness, alignment of our body, breath and mind, and relaxation. All these are the benefits that you right away had a glimpse of. So all this wisdom comes to us from the Yoga Shastra of sage Patanjali. So this is not that someone somewhere bumped into it. No, it is a millennia of, just like the previous speaker gave the genesis of Ayurveda. Similarly, all these have been systematically experimented upon by various sages and rishis, and then they are so compassionate that they left behind wonderful manual like the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Hatha Yoga Pradipika and whatnot. So now let's get into so we saw the practical dimension. Now let's get into the theoretical foundations of these. I will be as precise and as brief as possible. I know that we are encroaching upon our lunch time. So actually yoga has, as Professor Bhavanani would put in one of the conferences we organized on dimensions of yoga, yoga has many dimensions. Not only the healing dimension or the therapeutic dimension, it has so many dimensions. It has a cultural dimension, health dimension, therapeutic dimension. Even in therapy, we see preventive, promotive, curative and restorative. And there is a social dimension. The keynote speaker spoke about the social dimension of health, and then the educational dimension, and then the research dimension. So yoga has so many dimensions to offer, where we are just focusing on the health and the therapeutic dimension alone. Especially the health dimension is what I am going to focus upon, especially from the Yoga Sutra literature, and this kind of the validity of yoga has been recognized by so many. It is not that we speak about our glory. The UN has recognized it. It speaks about how yoga helps in tackling NCDs, non-communicable diseases like diabetes, cardiological problems, etc. It's a healthy lifestyle practice, holistic approach to health. So the world has woken up to yoga, and then yoga-related research is happening not from recently. There is a research repository called the public PubMed, which is in the short. So it is National Library of Medicine of the United States, where you can see right from 1948, just after our independence, worldwide yoga research has been happening. So how many papers are published, or how many papers are available in this repository? So that we can see across the years there has been a continuous, and you can see a steady rise in the number of papers. So from 1948, how much now the peak of yoga research is happening. About 500, 800 to 600 papers are being, research papers are being published on yoga. Such is the curiosity, such is the attention that yoga has now gained because of this body, breath, mind, well-being that it brings about. And then we can see that what are the top search terms about yoga: yoga therapy, yoga and stress, pain and yoga, yoga benefits, yoga and anxiety, yoga and depression, yoga and mental health. And so these are the very important terms of clinical trials, meta-analysis and systematic review. All kinds of research papers are being published on yoga. And to give a beautiful summary of what yoga can do to us, again I refer to the article by Professor Bhavanani, who has published hundreds of papers on yoga. He says at the physical level it induces autonomic nervous system equilibrium with a tendency toward parasympathetic dominance, which I spoke about recently, and then heart rate and blood pressure decrease, implying better relaxation, reducing load on the heart, respiratory rate, cardiovascular efficiency increases, gastrointestinal function and endocrine function normalizes, musculoskeletal flexibility, joint range of motion increases, posture improves, strength, resiliency, endurance, energy level increases, weight normalizes, sleep improves, immunity increases and pain decreases. All these are a summary of all the research findings at the physical level what yoga can do. All these are not empty claims. So based on the hundreds of research papers which I showed earlier, this has been an expert summary of what yoga can do at the body level, and at the psychological level. Yoga leads to, as I mentioned, subjective well-being, improvements at the level of self-acceptance, self-actualization, social adjustment with decrease in anxiety, depression and hostility, cognitive functions such as attention, concentration, memory, learning efficiency, psychomotor function, even at the level of the sense organs, grip strength, balance, dexterity, fine motor skills, eye-hand coordination, reaction time, steadiness, depth perception and integrated functioning of the body parts improve. So at the level of the mind, at the level of the senses, how again yoga is very efficacious, or how yoga is very effective. So this is a summary of scientific findings, so which you can see. And also, the practice of yoga that we did also dispels the view that yoga is essentially standing upside down or twisting your body to unbelievable postures. No. So it is a balanced, coordinated movement of the body with the breath, with the mind at the toe. So in this way, it's a beautiful practice that has scientifically been established, or even the current day sciences revere, regard, respect, celebrate yoga. So in that sense, such is the system of yoga, and what is the source of this wisdom? What is the source of such a celebrated universal source of wisdom? That is the right, as was mentioned in the previous paper. Like every other system, the knowledge source is the Vedas. So in the Vedas, there is a reference of various kinds of meditative practices, the yajna that we do, making offering into the Agni, which is Vedahi yajnartham avipravrittaha. So when we say Veda and the Vedic mantras, it is for performance of yajna. Even that yajna is not just offering something into the fire for fear of some higher force and then some kind of satiation of the. No, it's not that way. Yasyai devatayi. In Mimamsa we have yasyai devatayi havirgrihitam syat tam manasa dhyaye prashakkarishyan. So for example, I am doing a Ganapati Homa. I am just giving the current day Puranic, Smarta Homa. If I am doing Ganapati Homa, it is not that I keep a picture of Ganapati or whichever divinity and throw something into the fire. No. I meditate upon the form of the Lord Ganapati. That's why shlokas are uttered which describe the form of Ganapati. All the dhyana shlokas which are there portray the form of the divinity so that we can capture it in our mind. So that divinity has to be brought in our mind in a meditative state. I make the offering into the Agni. So again, there is an alignment. So I think about the form, I worship it mentally, and then I express it physically. So yajna also essentially is yoga only in that sense. So the Vedas and the yajna tradition, that's where the yoga itself started. That's the view of very, very great scholars. And from there, down the line we see Patanjali Maharshi, who captures, even later in the Upanishads also we find a lot of references to yoga. Tam vidya dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga samhitam. And this is in Bhagavad Gita, and Tam yogamiti manyante sthiram indriya dharanam. The Upanishad, Kathopanishad defines what yoga is. So in the Upanishad, the yoga is defined, and then later we have Bhagavad Gita, and the essence of the Veda, the Upanishads on yoga is systematized, organized, and captured by sage Patanjali in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and that is a manual. That's one of the earliest manuals which systematically organizes the yogic thought. Even in Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, the wisdom is there. It has been codified and organized systematically. Patanjali himself says that Atha Yoganushāsanam Anushasanam Shishtasya Shasanam Anushasanam. They have been already taught. These thoughts are already there. I am just organizing, facilitating better grasp of the teachings therein. So that's how he begins the Yoga Sutra, and all these physiological, psychological, cognitive, the motor skill benefits that you see, they stem from this especially starting point, that is Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And even in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, you have the Ashtanga Yoga for the beginners, Yamanima, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, and then there is this Kriya Yoga for the intermediate practitioners. All this is mentioned in the commentary literature of Yoga Sutra, where Tapas, Svadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana, 3 tools are mentioned. And then for the very advanced practitioners, according to the commentators, Abhyasa and Vairagya methods are presented. And then later there are further more tools. In the first chapter you have Maitri, Karuna, 7 parikarmas are mentioned. Pracharana Vidharanabhyam Pranasya, Vishayavati Pravrutti Utpanna Manasasthiti Vibandhini. So at the emotional level, at the breath level, at the level of the senses, and at the level of understanding, the jnana, at the level of that. So many tools to reduce agitation, to attain a calm state of mind. So many tools have been given in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. But in this short time that is available, though there is a huge range of tools that are available in Patanjali Yoga Sutras itself, I will just focus on the Ashtanga only. I know the time limitation. I will be as quick as possible to give an overview, give just a taste as to how the Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi contribute to physical health, psychological or mental health, and spiritual health. So just give a glimpse or kind of overview only. In great detail one has to study, enhance one's understanding and put it into practice. So all that can be given at this point of time is a brief introduction. So for example, to gently or in a general way to categorize, with regard to the physical health, we have asana, pranayama, and also the pratyahara practices of Ashtanga Yoga, which will cater to that. Actually, this categorization also will be objected by very senior, matured practitioners. For example, Krishnamacharya, the guru of even D.K.S. Aiyar, he says that Yogaha Sarvanga Sadhanam. Yogaha Sarvanga Sadhanam. When I do a forward bend, it is not that I am working only on the lower back region. No, the entire being is involved in that. Am I only moving the lower back region when I bend forward? No, I am getting up. As a whole being, I am getting up with my breath, with my mind, with my focus, everything. I am there and I am bending forward. In bending forward also, I move all the muscles here. So in any given asana, in any given practice, even in pranayama, even for doing pranayama, what do? The general standard instruction is back erect, shoulders relaxed, chin down, eyes closed. So even for pranayama practice, the body is involved completely. So it is not that I am doing only a breath practice. No. So in the holistic, in the widest sense, each and every yoga practice caters to each and every atom of the body. So yoga sarvanga sadhana. But to give a general connect, so to predominantly where it works. So in that sense, this categorization can be justified to an extent. So it doesn't mean that asana, when I say asana helps in physical health, it doesn't mean that asana does not help in mental health or the spiritual progress. It has its implications, but predominantly from a beginner's perspective, from an opening orientation, we can say it that way. It is true for each and every asana also. So it is not that if I do this asana, diabetes is overcome. That asana, arthritis is overcome. No, that is a very, very lopsided view according to the Krishnamacharya tradition where I had my yoga training. So in that sense, but predominantly it works in a particular region. That's how we have to understand. Only then the holistic nature of yoga will be retained. Or else what happens? Yoga becomes another kind of therapy where if I have headache, I swallow this pill. For stomachache, I swallow this pill. So that kind of a limitation of yogic understanding comes. Whereas yoga can bring about a holistic or kind of, it appeals to the entire being, not to just one part. So in that sense, this categorization is also an initial orientation only. So asana, pranayama and pratyahara, especially mentioned in the Ashtanga Yoga. Later in the Hatha Yoga text, you have the kriyas like basti, neti, dhauti, etc., which also have an implication on the physical health. At an emotional and mental health, from the Ashtanga Yoga, you have yama, niyama, pranayama, again pratyahara, and then at a spiritual level, you have the philosophy of yoga, the understanding of how yoga perceives the entire our existence, our being, from where we came and what is our destination. So the entire philosophy of life is also there. As was repeatedly mentioned by the previous speaker and also the keynote speaker, yoga does not or is not just a medical system of healing alone. It has a higher spiritual goal where it gives us a clear direction, and that spiritual goal is not only for certain people post-retirement. No, it is the orientation that everyone needs to have, so that we are very clear about the destination that we need to go. So in that process, dharana, dhyana and samadhi of the Ashtanga Yoga will help. And before going into a little more detail about these, because yama, niyama, etc., everything might be new to some of you here, while some others may know the details about it. Before I go in a little bit elaboration, I promise you, I assure you that I will end in another 10 minutes. I know that. So, but one important factor is yoga is for whom this question comes. Yoga is for whom? Hatha Yoga Pradipika says, this is a very important verse which everyone should remember. Yuva, vriddhaha, ativriddhaha, vyadhitaha, durbalopi va, abhyasat siddhimapnoti, sarva yogeshu akandritaha. Who can practice yoga? This kind of yoga which caters to physical health, mental and emotional health and the spiritual health. Who can practice this? Yuva, youth. Vriddhaha, an old person. Ativriddhaha, very old, senile even person. Vyadhitaha, a person with illness. Durbalaha, a person who is not very sturdy or strong. He can also do. Durbalopiva, abhyasat siddhimapnoti. Choose the right kind of yoga practice yourself or for you under a master or a teacher, and then abhyasa. Do the abhyasa diligently, dirghakala, nairantarya, sarkara. So yoga is for everyone. This is a 15th century work which says that yoga is for everyone. Beginning, and Krishnamacharya, again go back to Yogacharya Krishnamacharya, he says, when can a person start doing yoga? That when can a child, especially in childhood, yoga normally starts. So even in childhood, when can a child start doing yoga? When the child can eat its own food. It can take the food from the plate and then put it in its mouth. So that is the stage when a child, because the hand-eye coordination, everything is there. So the child is able to coordinate itself to some extent. So that is the stage when yoga can begin. And it is for everyone, because everyone is endowed with body, physical health is important. Everyone is endowed with mind, mental health is important. Of course, emotion. Of course, but the final dimension, that is spiritual goal, because of the influences of so many elements around us, we normally don't perceive us as the spiritual beings. See, we are spiritual beings endowed with a physical frame. We are not the physical being who also has a spirit or the Atman. No, it is not that the spirit or the Atman resides in the body. No. So the Atman, just like it is I am the person who is wearing this shirt. It is not that this shirt is a kind of is a thing into which I have fitted myself in. No. So it's the reverse way. So there is an Atman which is having this body. So that is the reality. That is the understanding. Otherwise, the other Western influence gives us the other way around, where it is the body in which there resides a spirit. That's a reverse idea, whereas it is the spirit which is endowed, or the Atman which has this body. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinhati naroparani tatha jirnani vihaya tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sayyati navani dehi. Just like Deepavali is approaching, we buy new cloth, we adorn ourselves, and then that cloth wears away, we just shed it and then buy new one. Similarly, our reality is our Satchidananda Atma Swarupa, and the body, mind, etc. are just the cloth on it. So that is the spiritual reality, that is our true existence. So towards that existence also, the noise at the body level, the noise at the emotional level, the noise at the breath level, or the restlessness at these levels, when they settle down, only then we can have an understanding about our true Satchidananda Swarupa. If the body is suffering from ailments, the mind is restless, agitated, the breath is also not helping us, then how can we turn inwards and realize our true nature? So in that sense, the original purpose of yoga is helping us turn towards our true nature, while these therapeutic benefits at the level of the body, breath, mind is incidental to yoga. But it is not neglected. When I say they are incidental to yoga, it doesn't mean that these are neglected. They are also taken into account, they are also refined and then sublimated and help us turn towards a higher goal. So this is the orientation. When we have this orientation, and one more thing is, when we are established towards, or when we have fixed our gaze firmly upon the ultimate goal of realizing our true conscious nature, these bodily ailments to some extent will not bother us too much. See, when we terminate our understanding of ourselves only to the body, then we consider the be-all and end-all of our existence limited to only to this body. If something happens to the body, I am extremely concerned. So somewhere I hit on a nail, a rusted nail, then I start worrying. Oh, whether it was rusted, should I take a TT injection? So many worries and so many things. Of course, it has to be taken care of, but one need not take it to a level of paranoia that if something happens to this physical frame, I am doomed. No, not that way. I have a body, yes, I wear a cloth, I wash it and use it, but I am not attached to it too much. I can buy some new cloth. So in that sense, that much of an detachment can also be gained by all these practices of yoga. I don't think I will go into each of these now. I finally go into the last slide while wrapping up. I think I have given an orientation to the possibilities of yoga. The final inputs, I just go to the last slide, penultimate slide, where when these are the outcomes possible from yoga, it is not that doing certain practices alone is yoga. Getting onto the yoga mat, bending forward, I also might have given a wrong impression of what yoga is. Standing on a yoga mat, attending a yoga class, online or offline, bending forward, sitting, eyes closed, only yoga is not limited to, yoga is that also. But yoga also includes our food, lifestyle and transparent transactions. Yuktahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Ahara, vihara and then our vyavahara with the world around. What kind of food, what kind of routine, physical routine that we have. Dinacharya was mentioned, what kind of a daily schedule that we have. Everything matters. I eat some unconducive food and want yoga to clear it. It will not happen. So I have to prepare my body where yoga can help it for its betterment. So the modern medicine kind of sometimes brings it. I can spoil my body and go to the doctor and get some medicine to solve the problem or kind of ஊசி முழுகிறது இருக்கிறத கொஞ்சம் அடிச்சு சரி பண்றது அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி அப்படி பண்ணக்கூடாது. So our lifestyle is also very important in terms of food, etc. And then yoga, again yoga is not a magical pill that will work overnight. So it has to be done only slowly. Shanai shanai parame buddhya dhriti grihitaya atma samstham manah krutva nakinchidapi chintaye. It's a slow, steady process. It's a lifelong activity. Lifelong we live with. So as long as we are in an embodied state with the body, breath, mind, etc., we have to work with it systematically, slowly. In Hatha Yoga Pradipika, there is a beautiful example. Yatha simho gajo vyagro bhaved vashyah shanai shanai. So the lion, tiger, elephant, all these can be tamed. Similarly, the mind, the body, etc., can also be tamed, but or brought into control. But how? Not with an urgency. We have to work slowly, just like a tamer of the horse or a tamer of a lion or tiger to perform it in the circus. He works with it slowly, slowly. So doing it slowly, slowly, everything can come under control. Anyatha hanti sadhakam. If some urgency is shown with our own self, just like the lion will pounce upon the trainer, similarly, our own self will turn against ourselves if we rush through it. It's a lifelong, settled practice or the process, and then it benefits are certain through yoga. Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. Even a little amount of yoga, even a small movement of the hands, or even a small pranayama practice, that will have some positive influence in a smaller way. If you want more and more benefits, spend more time on yourself. Invest more time on yourself, by which you can become better. Rather than getting distracted on things outside, if you invest your energy, your time, your focus, your activity, your training on yourself, then you can be a better self. Uddhare atmanatmanam natmanam avasadaye. So one has to lift one's own self up. So by one's own activity, that is yoga. And finally, action is central to yoga. So one has to do yoga to see the benefits of yoga. Nayamatma pravachanena labhyaha. Na veshadharanam, even in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, I finished this. Na veshadharanam siddhehe karanam na cha tatkatha. Kriya yuktasya siddhisya akriyasya katham bhave. By wearing a yogic costume, flowing hair, white dress or whatever it is, that is not an indicator of, it is mentioned in Hatha Yoga Pradipika 500 years ago. Na vesha dharanam siddhehe karanam na cha tat katha. Not even yoga siddhi is attained by eloquently or fluently speaking like on yoga like this. Kriya kriyaiva karanam siddhe. Kriya, activity, systematic, well-informed, diligent activity will what lead to siddhi, and it is certain to come about. Krishna has assured, nahi kalyana kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. Hence, it is up to us. So Krishna finally says, tapasvibhyaha adhikaha yogi, jnanibhyaha api mataha adhikaha, karmibhyascha adhiko yogi, tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. Krishna does not say jnani bhavarjuna or karmi bhavarjuna or bhakto bhavarjuna. No. There is one singular exhortation that Krishna says, tasmat yogi bhava, and Arjuna is our representative. So Krishna is a direct request from Lord Krishna himself, Yogi Bhava. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's interesting paper. Thank you, everyone. Now we break for lunch and request everyone to come back